Do you ever find that the most authentic version of yourself only steps out when the door is closed and the world goes quiet? It's that specific moment when the external static dies down, your internal vision clears, and the pieces of your life finally click back. Here at Looks Fine Inside, we know that choosing silence isn't about being a hermit or running away from reality. It's actually a sign of a very specific kind of psychological development that happens best in the absence of an audience. There is a deep internal logic to why you function this way, and understanding it might just change how you see your entire personality. Let's start by deconstructing the biggest myth about people who crave their own company. Most observers assume that if you love being alone, you must be an introvert, but the reality is far more nuanced. Think of it as a personal energy ecosystem. While some people hunt for energy in crowds, others cultivate it in stillness. And most of us actually slide back and forth, depending on our stress levels or the environment we're in. It's not a box you're stuck in, it's a fluid response to what your brain requires at that exact moment. You know the feeling, at that rush of pure relief, when a Friday night commitment falls through, or the way you genuinely enjoy your friends but still need a full day of radio silence to recover from a party. This isn't a flaw. Psychologists refer to this as positive solitude. It's a constructive state where being alone provides a sense of harmony and mental reset, which is the complete opposite of loneliness or social rejection. So what is actually happening under the hood when you're by yourself? When you disconnect from the social world, your brain fires up the default mode network. This is your internal laboratory for imagination, deep reflection, and emotional digestion. It's exactly why your eureka moments don't happen in a meeting, but rather while you're scrubbing dishes, taking a long walk, or staring out a window. Without the pressure to perform for others, your mind finally has the bandwidth to organize your experiences and heal. This process builds what is known as self-concept clarity, a fancy way of saying you know exactly who you are when no one is watching. It builds an inner resilience that allows you to provide your own comfort. During life's storms, it's not a retreat, it's an upgrade. This mental processing creates a set of quiet superpowers that often go unnoticed by the rest of the world. First, there's the gift of deep immersion. If you enjoy solitude, you likely find it easier to enter a flow state, that magical zone where you're so focused on a project or hobby that 4 hours feel like 15 minutes. Second, there is the power of radical authenticity, because you aren't constantly adjusting your mask to match the energy of a room. You develop a personality that is incredibly stable and honest, and perhaps most importantly, your intuition becomes razor sharp. Spending time in your own head teaches you to read your own internal compass. You start to notice the subtle vibes or red flags in others that everyone else misses, because you're so tuned into how your own energy shifts in response to the world. At Looks Fine Inside, we believe these aren't just traits, they are competitive advantages. Of course, valuing solitude doesn't mean you've given up on humanity. It just means you've traded a high volume of connections. For a high quality of connections, you prioritize depth over noise. You've learned that saying no to an invite is actually a way of saying yes to your own mental health. The key is surrounding yourself with people who don't demand a performance, the kind of friends who understand that a few days of silence isn't a sign of a fading friendship, but a sign that you're recharging. You're also likely more sensitive to digital exhaustion. Even if you love the people in the group chat, the constant pings can feel like 1,000 tiny taps on your shoulder. at learning to treat your physical space as a sanctuary free from the 24/7 digital leash is how you keep your nervous system from redlining. Ultimately, the biggest shift happens when you realize that a successful life isn't measured by how many people are around you but by how much peace is inside you. When you embrace your need for space, your relationships actually get better. You stop showing up to hangouts feeling drained and resentful, and start showing up with genuine warmth and presence. Because your battery is actually full, you become a more grounded partner, a more thoughtful friend, and a more stable human being. If you've spent years feeling guilty for needing to disappear every now and then, let this be your permission slip. Your private moments aren't wasted time. They are the soil in which your strongest self grows. Thriving in the quiet isn't a secret to keep, it's a strength to celebrate. We're glad you took a moment out of your day to join us here at Looks Fine Inside. Your need for space doesn't make you disconnected, it makes you intentional. If this perspective resonated with you, stick around to explore more about the fascinating inner workings of your mind